Hey, Greenhouse community, and hey, Athens and McMinn County community. Hey, we just want to reach out to you because we didn't get a chance to fully talk about everything that James 3 has to say to us about God's wisdom. And there are a couple things that I wanted to say on Sunday that didn't get a chance to share with you, that the ways that God has spoken to me out of James chapter 3, and what I think James is really, God is using the book of James to help us understand. And as you remember from Sunday, he was talking about wisdom from above, wisdom that is pure, peaceable, full of good mercy and fruits, and things that create healthy dialogue, reconciliation, and relationships, versus wisdom from below, which is just reactive and instinctive and temporarily focused and not eternally focused, and even it says that's demonic, and it results in chaos and disorder and every vile evil practice, only looking out for the self, or only taking matters through violent means. And James says that's not God's wisdom. Wisdom from above looks different. And so there are a couple things that we didn't get a chance to talk about on Sunday that I just wanted to share with you about this passage. First off, everyone in their life should have a mentor. Everyone should have those that they look to help them grow in their relationship with Christ. Maybe it's also maybe a mentor in your craft or your skill or your career, godly people that you want to pattern your life after. So James says in James 3:13, "Who is wise and understanding among you?" And I think what he's getting at is helping us understand who we should look to pattern our lives after. Who is it that we want to be like, who's wise and understanding? And he gives us those qualities. So look for those qualities in a mentor. Um, Also, the other thing that James chapter 3 tells us, I believe, is helping diagnose or take the temperature on what we believe God's will is and pursuing God's will. Some of you who are young adults are looking and wondering, okay, what is God's will for my life? And others of you, maybe you're at a faith step and you're wondering about God's will, and are you where you're supposed to be in life, and or what direction should you take? Well, James chapter 3 helps diagnose our motives mostly when trying to find God's will. So he tells us clearly that when we have selfish ambition and we have vain conceit, when we're only looking out for our party faction or our either ourselves or our little group, that there's disorder and chaos in every evil practice. And so if you're looking for to do God's will, but God's will is resulting in that sort of unnecessary hurt in other people's lives and chaos, and it's not helping anyone, but yet you feel it's God's will, you need to take a second look and think that may not be God's will, which is exactly what Jesus often would rebuke the early religious leaders for. They pursued God's will, but it didn't help anyone around them flourish. Matter of fact, it kept them in oppression. So, James chapter 3, though, when you're pursuing God's will, and he says, okay, wisdom from above, it's open to reason. It's willingly submissive to the will of God. It's willing to accept advice. It's full of good fruits and full of merciful kindness to others. It's singular focused, impartial. It's sincere without hypocrisy. It's nothing illegal or immoral, unethical. Um, so really, James chapter 3 helps us diagnose about not just what to look for in a mentor or how to become a mentor, characteristics that you got to train yourself in through the Spirit of God. Be patient with yourself now. These things don't happen overnight. They're a marathon, not a sprint. But also James chapter 3 helps us know how to kind of uncover our motive in pursuing God's will, or what we think is God's will for our life. So keep those couple things in mind. Those are things I wanted to share on Sunday, but just didn't have time. Hope you have a great evening or morning or whatever it is.